people say, what you need to do is set up a populist party. Populist party, that's interesting. Because the parties that are described as populist now are parties that have been around for decades and were very unpopular for a very long time. Now, how did they get to be populist parties? They got to be populist parties by sticking by their principles and by sticking by what they believed in until such time as everybody else could see it too. That's it. Wasn't complicated, but it was hard. Very, very hard to stand in election after election after election and get 1, 2, 3% of the vote over and over again and stay going. Now we're going to be very careful in terms of when we put forward candidates, how we put forward candidates, to ensure that we get what I would call credible results so that people can see that there's a bit of momentum there. But they, on any given question, really, they, in terms of how can you combat the Islamic takeover of Ireland? By the power of the state. That's it. That's pretty much the answer to a lot of the questions that are here in front of me. If you have control of the state, you have control of the means. For example, the classic populist movements is the League of Nord. It's been there in Italy for at least 25 years. When it started, it was called all the same names as we were being called. It's now in government, and the Minister for the Interior is Matteo Salvini, and he says the boats don't land here. There's your solution, is be the minister behind the desk at the time that another boatload arrives. The minister who signs the form that sends the Gardaí down to the docks to turn the boat around. You're not landing here. There is no other solution. There is no other solution. There's no point in turning up outside of mosques with, posters that's telling them to go home. They know they're not welcome. They know that. That doesn't bother them. Bother them at least that they're not welcome. They don't like you either, as it happens. You need to win elections. And that's and you need to win majorities. We are still, as I say, we're still at the base stage, and we're building a very strong base. A very strong base of people who have come through a defeat and is still there. And that's a hell of a thing too, because it's my first campaign that I ever was involved in was the Single European Act campaign of 1987, and I was 16 at the time. And the political analysis would tell you now how absurd it was that I thought there was no possibility the Irish people would vote for the Single European Act. It was a complete sellout of Irish nationalism and Irish freedom. Couldn't believe it. That will never happen. Spent the whole campaign. I should have realised that when all I had was a bike and a few, folded up paper posters, that things weren't going well. But I was 16 and you're naive and you think that people are as idealistic as you are. Another thing that should have told me things were not going well was when, as I was standing outside the polling booth on the day, is some guy stopped and he says, "How much are you getting paid for being here?" And I said, "I'm not getting paid anything for being here." And he goes, "Nobody does anything for nothing." That should have given me an idea that perhaps the Irish people weren't quite as idealistic as I took them to be. But it was a bit of a blow at 16 years of age to realise that your whole perception of the Irish people was wrong. I think it's a good idea to enter politics on a defeat, because I made the determination that the evening of that result, and it was 70% yes vote for the Single European Act. I made the determination that I personally would stand in a count centre someday when there was a no vote to European referendum. Now, it took me a while, 1987 to 2000, 2001, but I did it. It'll take us a long time. The solution to all, to a number of the problems that are written on this page are the same. We need to control the state, and there is a means by which you control the state. You win elections. You get into government, you control the machinery of the state, and you send the guards down to do what you want them to do, and the army if necessary.